This is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today's podcast is brought to you by Water and Wellness. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit Water and Wellness at their offices, and I can tell you that as far as you and I are concerned and our health is concerned, this is one of the most important places that you can go to find water that is purified and products that will help your longevity and your overall health. Visit waterandwellness.com to learn how you can take control of your drinking water and learn about those natural additives to optimize your health and longevity. Contact Stacy at 877-296-6880. Use the Ageless code and you'll get a 20% discount on all your products. Everybody, this is Michelle Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today we're going to talk about a subject that everybody is interested in, and that is beauty. And our guest today is an esteemed medical doctor from Chicago. She happens to be running two companies. One is for the medical community, and the other is for the retail, for the consumers like us. So we have the option to be able to access her website and to look at her product offerings. But first, we're going to hear from our guest, Rebecca Bell, Dr. Rebecca Bell. And Rebecca, good morning, and how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I know that you just came in from a trip from Florida and you made it with all the storms there back to Chicago. So thank you for joining us and sharing your ideas and your wonderful insights. So we're going to start with a big open-ended question, and that is about opportunity and adversity, because I know a little bit about your background, so I'd like you to just take a moment and tell us why your life epitomizes the statement that opportunity and adversity can actually be aligned. So out of adversity comes opportunity. Can you comment?
Well, I think that just going through some struggles with my health, getting older like most women do, and trying to find ways to effectively stop the clock or slow it down a little bit, and also doing it, just living a healthy lifestyle, experiencing and trying new opportunities, new things. And I've created my skincare line to support that healthy lifestyle and new opportunities in medicine that we're coming in contact with every day.
Well, I think one of the unique aspects of your company, your two companies, is that you base everything in science and not in marketing. So could you comment on that and why you are unique in that regard?
Well, there's a lot of fallacies out there when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to especially skincare products. For instance, and regenerative medicine that we're hearing so much of. When you are blessed, my belief is when you are blessed enough to understand science, you kind of have a duty to do the best that you can to teach people how to be healthy and get away from the marketing, because marketing is not necessarily science. It may be an idea, it may be based somewhat on science, but a lot of times we just take the buzzwords or what we want to hear, and you cannot treat health with a broad brush. We're all individuals. And so there's a lot of contributing factors. There's a lot of things that need to take place in order to have effective, good, not only healthcare, but skincare. And the skin is your largest organ. So when I say that my passion is education and science, That's because our products are, we look into the marketing. What is out there? What are people saying? Um, and is it true? Not saying that other companies don't have good products, because they do, but I think that we miss a large component of education as to what exactly is good for our individual skin. Um, Statements, such as hyaluronic acid. Well, there's many different forms of hyaluronic acid, and you see a lot of brief knowledge or brief statements that broad brush different components to skincare, and it's not necessarily what's best. Um, we believe that with hyaluronic acid, everything, that all hyaluronic acid is good. That's not true. Low molecular weight hyaluronic acid has been proven to feed tumors. In some cases, it's not necessarily the best thing to use. The hyaluronic acid that's injected into the face that we use with the fillers and from the pharmaceutical companies, that is a heavy molecular weight hyaluronic acid. That is closer to a fetal compound and will actually create enzymes and things that will plump up the face without causing inflammation. And actually, hyaluronic used with, for instance, microneedling can cause scarring if it's not done correctly.
Well, that's rather scary because microneedling and PRP, platelet-rich plasma, and microneedling, the vampire facial, all of these are becoming so commonplace. How does the consumer know when they're having the treatment that they're getting the correct ingredient? Let's just take hyaluronic for the moment, because that is one that is used in those procedures. So how would I, if I'm coming into an office with an esthetician or a doctor, or a dermatologist, how do I know?
Well, a lot of times we don't know. And that's when it comes back to the marketing. And for instance, our Rebel Beauty line, we focus on educating the doctors and the estheticians as to what exactly is in that product and the effects that will happen when we utilize those products. And a lot of that has to also come down to patient education as well. It's very easily to fall into marketing and to say, okay, well, this is great. This is what's going to happen to my skin. And again, we're all individuals, so that's not necessarily the case. When you see, for instance, a lot of times you'll see the gold masks. You cannot fire a laser on, my background is in physics, and you cannot fire a medical laser on a gold mask. You'll turn the face green, and it's not going anywhere. It'll be there. It's like a tattoo. And so with our product line, we educate the physician's office, but we also take that extra step to provide literature that will also educate the consumer. Be it on our retail line or on the Rebel Beauty line, which is exclusively sold in physicians' offices.
So, what are some of the ingredients that you are excited about in today's cosmeceutical world? You mentioned hyaluronic. That's one. What else would you add to that list?
Hyaluronic acid is actually a very safe and wonderful compound if used correctly in the right molecular weight and formulated in an FDA GMP facility. That is really, really important to always make sure, whether it be our product or any product that you use, always make sure that that product has proper labeling, proper usage instruction, as well as formulated in a lab.
Oh, okay. Good. Let's stop for 1 second, Rebecca. I want you to say that very carefully again, because it was the question that I asked a moment ago. How do we ensure, as the consumers, that we are getting that product. So if we're walking into the doctor's office and they're about to give us hyaluronic as part of the injections, we need to stop the doctor and say, what questions? And that's what I want you to repeat, if you don't mind.
Always, number one, it's very, very important. We have to do our part in our health as well. And it's always very important to make sure that our physicians know about our counterindications. Talk to your physicians. Don't just go in there and think blindly that the esthetician or the physician knows everything that's in that product. That doesn't happen. Ask the questions. Is this a heavy molecular weight hyaluronic acid? Is this a low molecular weight? Do you have a history of basal cell sarcoma? Do you have, make sure that your doctor, that your esthetician, your skincare professional is doing a comprehensive questionnaire of what your issues and problems are. And also make sure that they know what you're using. If you're using retinol, make sure that your physicians know that, because retinol is actually a very strong compound that can create scarring. It can create a number of issues, drying, irritated skin, and shouldn't be used lightly. That's why you want to make sure that you educate your esthetician and your physician about everything that they're doing.
Or everything that you're doing.
Yes, everything that the physician is doing, everything that the esthetician is doing.
Right.
They only know what we tell them. And so going back to your question of getting that good information is talking to the physician, making sure they have an understanding, or your esthetician has an understanding of your treatment. What are you doing? What needs to be excluded? What needs to be done? And then they can then tell you, okay, this is what I suggest. Are you a smoker? Are you, what is your diet like? That's going to be what's best for your skin. Most products out there, most products are somewhat safe. But again, especially if it comes from a doctor's office, I would be leery about buying things online from companies that you haven't heard of, or something that sounds too good to be true. As much as we would all like to have a magic wand, as much as I would like to have the magic wand, I don't. So it's a recipe, and that has to work well with our bodies.
I think what you're saying, Rebecca, this is a very integrated approach to skincare, because we are, like you said, our skin is our largest organ, and it is an indicator. The quality of our skin is an indicator of our health, but our health is also combined or influenced with our diet, our exercise, our smoking, non-smoking, eating, drinking habits. All alcohol, all of those things that you're what you would categorize as lifestyle. So. Going back to walking into the doctor's office, because I'm taking some time to focus on this, because I think it's so critical, in that there is so much confusion in the beauty business, and so many products, and so much misinformation. Just as you said, careful about buying online if you don't know exactly what you're getting. So you said that the hyaluronic is, you want a heavy molecular weight.
Yes,
that's what you're gaining.
You want to make sure that this is, if it's anything that's going to permeate or penetrate the skin, you want to make sure that it's a heavy molecular weight, and also that it's sterile. I consult for physicians' practices with aesthetics and with regenerative medicine, and many times I'll get a call and they'll say, I had a patient that broke out. I did this just as the salesperson told me to do, and now the patient has a reaction. Well, and my questions are always, did you do a medical history? What is the patient's lifestyle like? Do they have, diabetes? Are they a drinker? Are they a smoker? Are they using retinol? And so many times you hear, oh, they didn't mention that. Or, my patient got a a rash or something, or, broke out because it wasn't a sterile hyaluronic acid. Anything that we're going to put into our bodies, penetrate into our bodies, should really be sterile. Um, so it comes with, again, with that education. And there's also additional procedures. Someone will go in and say, I just had a laser treatment. The face may not be red, but there's subsequent thermal damage. So if you put, retinol on those, a high concentrated retinol, or, anything other than OTC, even, which is over the counter, even some over the counter retinols are very strong and should not be used after certain procedures.
Correct.
So it's so, I cannot stress enough, it's so important to educate your skincare professional about your wants and needs, your goals, but also your health history, because that's what's going to give you the efficacy.
That's so good to hear, Rebecca. Well, so let's go back to the ingredients, the kind of the buzzwords that we talked about earlier with respect to, in addition to hyaluronic. So what other ingredients are you favoring that you believe and you have seen have efficacy?
Well, a lot of hyaluronic acid is a very good moisturizer, but hyaluronic acid is also a huge molecule. It's hyaluronic acid, for lack of a better term, is nature's moisture magnet. It grabs moisture from the air and it pulls it into our bodies. Now, hyaluronic acid also occurs naturally in our bodies. We find it in the sternal fluid. We find it in different fluids in the body. And so with these products, we want to make sure that we are cleansing the skin correctly. Hyaluronic acid will absorb when the pores are open. It will also absorb with a good toner. We have an antioxidant toner. And if you, witch hazel is a very good toner as well, because it's an astringent. It cleans the skin, opens up the pores, and allows the product to permeate into the skin. Just placing it on the face, especially with a different type of cream or something like that, it's basically a waste of money. It's not going to permeate the skin.
Well, that's good news, because witch hazel is so inexpensive, and we can use that and actually have results of what we might be spending multiples of dollars more for and not really getting much difference. So when you use witch hazel, can you combine that with, or do you combine that in your toner with some like vitamins or antioxidants, as you said, that
Yeah.
you would, can you mention what some of those would be?
Vitamin E's and vitamin A's are very, very good for the skin. So we combine our antioxidants with a lot of botanicals as well that serve as, it's Mother Nature. We do our best to work with Mother Nature. It's usually the safest bet. So we will combine our antioxidant toners with vitamin A, vitamin E. We will also add certain rose hips or oils that are well for the skin too.
So
there are a lot
that
of
would be
products
vitamin.
out there.
That would be vitamin C then, right? Rosehip is you're adding vitamin C, which everybody knows is. I think everybody knows vitamin C is one of the best skin cosmeceuticals, and also internally for health, for our overall health.
Well, vitamin C is a natural diuretic.
Yeah.
So puffiness, inflammation, those type of things. Vitamin C is a tremendous vitamin to push the body, to cleanse the body. And it does that because in large quantities, if you take vitamin C in vivio, what we call it, it actually draws water into the small intestine. And then, as you know, the small intestine will purify that and pass it through the body. So internally, that's how it works. Externally, vitamin C absorbs into the skin and acts as a capillary restrictor. So these, the bags that we all get under our eyes after early morning flights.
Like you just had?
Yes. I just put vitamin C on.
Good for you.
Put the vitamin C underneath the eyes, and it works as a really good tool to eliminate some of that puffiness that we feel. We all love us ladies all love a glass of wine. So a lot of times it's great to carry a little vial of vitamin C if you get that puffiness in the face and you have a meeting or you're going into somewhere, or in the morning after an airline flight. Vitamin C is great to put on your face because it takes the puffiness out, and it'll also minimize the dark circles.
But just like you said about hyaluronic, vitamin C, not all vitamin Cs are created equal, so to speak. I mean, there are some that are saying vitamin C, but they actually have lost their potency. So I've always thought you had to buy vitamin C in dark bottles in order to ensure that it hasn't been damaged in shipping. Or is that accurate to only buy vitamin C when you are ensuring that it has potency? And how do you know that?
Well, in anything works better if it's kept out of direct sunlight.
Yeah, correct.
Because direct sunlight causes oxidation and things like that. But the best thing is how products how they're made. What is their process? We see a lot of fractionated oils. Everyone hears how wonderful coconut oil is.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut oil is great, but you have to make sure that you're getting fractionated or non-fractionated oil. Non-fractionated is the best because it has most of those nutrients still in it.
What's the difference between the two, if you can just explain that for a moment?
It's the process in which it's produced. So you have, it's like, I'm trying to explain it in a way that's easy to understand. If it goes through a large process, fractionated oil is easy. That's like cooking oil. That's easy to make. It's high processed. You want a lot of those nutrients and the things that we know are in the coconut oil. Mm-hmm. Strawberries is another. The seeds of a strawberry is another tremendous antioxidant. Mm. You'll see a lot of strawberry oils and things like that contain no seed in it. Mm. The seed is where the nutrient is, not so much in the strawberry.
But how do you absorb the seed into your skin if it's still a seed?
It has to be pressed in. So if they're using strawberry oil, but the strawberry oil is just a compressed or lab created where they're just using the berry and they're straining it out, you have to have that seed in the oil. Mm. We hear, depending on where you come in the country, calendula or calendula or whatever, that's a marigold.
Calendula, that's for healing, right?
Yes.
For wound healing.
We use that a lot in our sensitive skin products. Mm-hmm. Because we know it heals wounds. And usually, if you have, your pH balance, depending on your pH balance, we want to keep that balance in place. And so, again, we go back to natural products, watching the way that they're produced and how are they added into our products. And my background is science and physics. And so my study has gone back to that chemistry for all of those years to look to say, okay, this is a natural product. This is a healing agent. And a lot of products, if we go back, I steer away a lot of times from the word organic, just because the FDA says that you have to meet a barrier in order to label your products organic. But we don't know what is the product for sure grown in, what was the, what is the soil, what is this, what is that. There's a lot of contributing factors that we don't necessarily see. And so with our products, what if back to nature?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if the farm next door? We chatted about this once before. I think it's kind of amusing because obviously organic is something that has been a hot button in the agricultural world. But I went to a conference at Hambrecht and Quist one time in California, in San Francisco, and they were chatting with, they had the whole subject was organic farming, but they said that there were people there that had been certified organic, but they said the biggest problem they had is next door was a non-organic farm, and as soon as the wind blew, for all the work that they had done to prepare their soil and treat their plants organically, the pesticides were blowing in the wind and landing on the leaves of their produce. So
that's exactly correct. Back in the early 90s, in the early 80s and 90s, the seed companies made a lot of money, and there was a lot of lawsuits filed and things like that. It was cross-pollination. You can't stop cross-pollination.
That's right.
So they patented these seeds, and then they found out that the seeds had a mixture or whatever. So I kind of pull away a little bit away from the whole organic label, because you really don't know what is 100% organic.
Well, California is a little, I think, sorry, Rebecca, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but California is a little, I think, probably the most strict when it comes to certification. And if you're certified organic here in California, you have certainly passed a lot of the tests and the biggest hurdles. However, you still can't control nature. So, I mean, I believe, I guess I would say I buy organic because I want to support the effort philosophically of those very pure believers in trying and effort, and I want to support them. And I certainly think that there's a lot less, result of potential of pesticides or other pollutants in their products. However, I think it's important that the consumer understand that there are some uncontrollable factors, and we just have to consumer beware. That's kind of where it is as far as that organic.
Well, I've worked for the past 20 years launching products and working very, very closely with the FDA, and sometimes the FDA gets painted with a little bit of a bad brush.
That's for sure.
Because they create a burden of proof that is an obtainable burden of proof, because they don't want to stop the better products coming into the market. They just want to make sure that they're safe. And so usually there has been a scientific body at the FDA that has said, this is the burden of proof that you need to have to certify something organic. I am just coming from a research background. I'm just a real stickler. And so we use natural products whenever we can, but we also use biotethers, such as, omega-3s and other things to bind the molecules or to break the molecules down so that they do permeate the skin.
Mm-hmm. That's a burning question, Rebecca. I'm so glad you said this. Some of the biggest problems in skincare come from the absorption and by the way, in nutrition, right? How do you know that you're taking these supplements and they're actually getting to where they need to be and not just having very expensive urine, right? we all have had that experience. So let's go to the absorption issue. So how do we know that the products that you're creating for us are going to get to the epidermis and not just sit on the dermis? How does the technology work for absorption of those products?
Good skincare comes with good biotethers. So going back to the buzzwords, you hear hyaluronic acid, you hear, rose hip, or, this oil or that oil, or my favorite one is growth factors, which we'll get to.
Growth factors.
That is a bit of a fallacy, but you hear all of these buzzwords. And what actually is going on is that your body is different and the way that you absorb. And so sometimes we have to add things. For instance, collagen and elastin are, again, huge molecules. They do not permeate the skin. And so you'll see 100% collagen. Well, that's great, but you're wasting your money, because collagen does not permeate the skin unless it's mixed with an omega-3.
What if you inject it like they used to do, where you'd come to the doctor's office, the dermatologist, plastic surgeon, and have collagen injections?
Well, collagen injections are actually quite safe. And those have gone through a very strenuous process to be approved. You have, the FDA has different levels. Skincare would be a level 1. It's always on, or a class 1. It's always on what we claim a product can do, which goes back to marketing. The FDA has one rule, and it's called prove it. Mm-hmm. If you can't prove it, don't say it. And pharmaceutical companies and, large drug manufacturers, they have been tasked to anything that they say. So if it's in a needle, it's going what we call in vivio, so it's going in the body. Mm-hmm. And they have had to prove that that product will do what it says, or it will not get approved.
So there are some products I see nanotechnology as a byline that they use for absorption. Is there such a thing in the cosmeceutical world as nanotechnology, where you're creating a pathway to that deeper level of absorption? That what you just said, that what you say is what you do, and it produces results. But is that a procedure?
There is. There are ways to do it. Again, it goes back to the chemical compounds and the biotethers. What are they using with that to break it down? Okay. I'm always leery when I see 100% collagen or 100% elastin or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or if it makes a promise that you can look at and say, I've been using this before and it's not working. There is no magic. There's really no magic wand, and good skincare is not, you're going to see a difference, but any type of skincare regimen you should use for at least a month before you make, unless you're getting broke out or something like that, to find out, is this what I need? Is this permeating into my skin? For my skin type, and, is my skin acidic? Is it alkaline? How old am I? Do I smoke? Am I a drinker? You really have to have a good 30 days before you know if a product works. And if you're not seeing a result within 30 days, I would say it's not the right product for you.
Very expensive to try all these products and then have them not work. So is there a customization process that you use with your potential clients or customers to ensure that they do get results? Is there? I know you talk about education, but you're dealing with people long distance. They're ordering with you online or by phone. Is there some way that you can customize for that particular customer?
With our physician line, you go in and you talk to the physician, and all of our physicians that carry our products, you can find it on the Rebel website, all of our rebelbeauty.com, and our physicians are listed on that website, and they have all been trained on the products. They know how to utilize the products, what to utilize the products for, and we also suggest treatment regimens after laser treatments, even so much as skin or hair removal. So we have, or if you're going to get a dual laser for skin resurfacing, what do I do? When do I stop using retinol? When do I, if I've had a cold sore, what type of medication do I take to not activate it? What's going to help me heal better and get the results that I need? So that's our professional side. Now on our I34 is i34inc.com. We actually have a questionnaire, and you can go in and take the question, and you receive an email, and we've narrowed it down to about 9 different skin types. Mm-hmm. And we ask questions like, do you smoke? Are you, how old are you? Mm-hmm. What is your, what would you say your skin type is like? Do you have dry skin? Do you have oily skin? Do you accumulate oil in your T-zone 3 hours after you wash your face? That's a good indication that you have combination skin. What's your ethnicity? there was one of our products was created because my adoptive son is of African American descent, and we could not find a good acne medication for him.
Mm.
Just couldn't find it. He was having problems with dry skin, pigmentations, issues. We decided to formulate B propolis, and B propolis worked for him. It wasn't peroxide. It wasn't, creating issues for him, and it cleared his skin up. But we knew that there were certain products that he could not necessarily use. There's also, kids that are on acne medication, spirolactones, other things. So we ask a good base of questions so that you, again, educate us on giving you the best skin regimen. And our regimen will tell you how to use them, when to use them, at night, during the day. For instance, if we have someone who has rosacea or something, we tell them, don't use retinol during the day. Do not put retinol on your face and go out on the golf course.
You just reminded me that the name we were talking about before the show. We were talking about those acne medications, and the one was tetracycline. The other one that I couldn't think of was called Accutane.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and remember I said I know it begins with an A. Are those passé, or are people still using those? And what are the, I know that putting peroxide and using, like you said, sea breeze, and that they're so drying to the skin. It's really just doing a Band-Aid for the moment, but it's really not healing or curing you. It's basically curing a symptom, but not finding the problem, and not curing the problem. So this is I think, endemic in medicine anyway, in the allopathic model. So,
it absolutely is. We go because we experience a symptom.
That's right.
But what we want to do is address the underlying issue.
The problem,
For instance, you have a lot of kids, they will be placed on spirolactone. We mentioned that earlier. That is actually builds proteins. Long use can build proteins in the kidneys. It can dry, it's very drying. Some kids don't tolerate it well. It's not something that they want to be on for a long time. So we need to find out, going back to education and health, what is that child eating? What is that teenager eating? Are they not, are they using something that's irritating their skin? Is there some type of environmental stressor that's causing that we can remove and go back to the basics of just, a face wash or something, instead of, we also, hormones is a huge indicator. We have children as early as 7 years old now getting acne. Active acne. And it's because we're producing mass quantities of meat and beef and other things. And so we have these animals that are injected with sometimes 30 to 60 different forms of hormone. Well, this, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why we're seeing the issues, the health issues that we are. We're not cattle, but we're ingesting these hormones. And so we're seeing things we didn't necessarily see before.
What is your feeling? You mentioned pH earlier, and I know this is such a big area within medicine that, if you're acidic, you're more likely to attract a disease at an acidic state, and anything below 7 pH is considered acidic, correct? Is that
anything? Well, 7 is right around 7 is kind of the magic number that we have when we're born. And so the golden number for adult skin is about a 5.5. A 5.3 to a 5.5 is where you want your pH balance to be.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always thought when you do the test that you wanted to be at 7 and above. And
7 is perfect.
Okay.
That's where we see, that's when most children are born. Their pH is flat.
Okay.
That's where they want to be. And again, it goes back to the environmental stressors of where are we getting these things? If you're getting actinic skin, if you're getting alkaline skin, then you start to see, whichever way you are on the scale, you'll see either dry skin, you'll see the oily skin. If you go on our I-34 website and you look at the blog,
Okay.
I sent it to you. It's a really good question and answer about acidic skin and diagnosing your skin, where you should be, and the things that you need to do to maintain that good pH balance.
I think we're trying to flash it right now on our screen. I don't know if you can see it. If Tony's trying to find it on the website.
Tony is a champ, especially dealing with me. Tony has been a champ.
Yeah, and Tony, by the way, is the CEO of our network called UBNGO, and but he is like a technical genius. So he's also on my team. He's one of our very important people. So he is trying to find that right now. But in the event that we don't see it, we can always just.
It's in our blog.
It's in the blog. So if you go
on to the blog tab, you'll find it. It'll open up and it will tell you about your pH.
Well, so alkalinity is the goal because in the alkaline state you cannot attract disease. So, but most human beings, adults, are acidic, and that's because of the diet and the toxicity of the environment, and et cetera. So it's really a goal, and that's why I brought it up today with the skincare, because, like you say, our skin is our largest organ. If we can get our skin to be alkaline, meaning our body is alkaline, therefore our skin is alkaline, then are we going to be far more receptive to the products that we're using, that you create?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's almost like if you're going to go to a black tie affair, you better get really good shower, get your hair clean. In other words, if you don't have all that basic stuff done, you're just putting stuff on. A beautiful ball gown over a dirty body isn't going to be very, very powerful or very effective, because deep down you're not taking care of the real issues. So I'd say, yeah. So Rebecca, we're trying to create a program here because, honestly, I think skincare is one of the most confusing of all beauty topics that and why is it that the media you look at the magazines and there's always some skincare articles, and everything that you read has some merit, except that it confuses you. So I think
one of the biggest industries, skincare around the world everybody wants good skin, but skincare around the world is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
And it's like what we're seeing with healthcare is people are frustrated, and they're not afraid to pay money for good skincare, because that's their goal, and that's their healthy goal.
Right.
But again, we need to go back to educating ourselves on what we need. And the first place to clean your body is from the inside out.
Just what I just said. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And so when you begin to do that internally, I mean, it's a full circle. It's diet, it's the skincare, it's what you put on your face and on your body. But we're looking at the whole picture. Mm-hmm. And everybody, it's such a big money maker that there are a lot of people out there that don't really necessarily have the science behind them. They've called and got a broker house, and they're selling lotions or whatever, and they're just putting their name on it.
Right.
And those are the ones that we need to be careful of. I've been in many doctors' offices, and someone says, "Oh, well, that's not a very pretty box." And it's, well, I'm not making pretty boxes. I'm making skincare. And if I put the money into the marketing, the science will suffer. Mm-hmm. So we choose to place all of our products in the realm of science, watch them. And also our products are tested for up to a year before we put them on the market. So anything that you see come out with Rebel or I-34 has been placed on a patient and utilized, an actual patient. We've taken before and afters. We've looked at it to make sure that it works.
So, Rebecca, the time has just flown by. I love hearing what you have to say, and I can't wait to have you tell us uh, because I want this to be for our viewers. This show is always dedicated to our viewers, and we want them to come away with some quote silver bullets. So, can you tell us what you have generously offered to ageless and timeless viewers in order to uh, attract them to learn more about learn more about I-34, or if they're coming through a doctor's office to suggest to their doctor they want to know if that doctor can use your Arbel medical product. So take a minute and just tell us what it is that you want to do for our viewers.
Well, on the I-34 website, that's for your consumer base, someone just going on the web and trying our skincare. We're offering 25% off for any of your viewers. We also offer where you can go on the website, and if you fill out the questionnaire to diagnose your skin type, they do send you a small, just trial size samples. But if you decide, again, we're very confident in our science and in our products. And if you decide to buy, your viewers can take the 25% off. And our physicians, we're offering training and additional discounts. And if they decide to bring our line in, we are actually offering our physicians one of our micro needling devices. That's a $3,000 value at no charge.
And that's called the Clio pen, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's our Clio pen.
Right. Okay. So, how do they? What is the code? I know normally we use Ageless, but I think you had a special code that you wanted us to use.
I think it's the M Hughes Show.
Oh, okay. Okay, so M, my first name, Michelle, so my initial, and then HUGHES, and then show, SHOW. And that will, with an online ordering, will get them their 25%, get everybody their 25%.
That will give everybody their 25%. That will also get, like I said, on the I-34, that will also get them a copy, a bag that says welcome to I-34 with all of the different sample sizes in there. And they can try the products out. We don't put a lot of perfumes in our products. We use a lot of natural oils. We don't say organic, but we do use the natural oils. We use rose hips, lavenders, all of the antioxidant oils that you see. And a lot of our face washes and things are oil-based as well, which you'll be surprised work a lot better than peroxide.
And do you sell a sunscreen as well that you advocate?
We do have a sunscreen that is coming out, and it's called the Defender.
Okay.
And we have two sunscreens that will be available on I-34, and one is 50 proof, which is a lotion. Then we have a spray that is 30 SPF. But then we also have our Defender Shield that will be coming out right around Christmas time. And that is anything that you have, let's say you've got a makeup, you've got a lotion that you really like, but there's no SPF in it. And SPF is so important. It's a monumental importance.
Right.
You can add a couple drops to that and it will give it an SPF.
Oh, that's excellent. I've often thought of that as it would be so great to have, to combine those in that way. So excellent.
The science geek in me, I've always been, I've wore the same makeup since I was in high school. I'm in my 50s now. So
wow.
Being the science geek that I am, I would take titanium dioxide and put drops in my makeup. And so I've never had any sun damage on my face.
Right.
And so someone said, why don't you come up with a formula that
So
other women can
isn't
use.
it that you should only use zinc oxide and titanium as the two ingredients and not go for any of these other sunscreens that have chemicals that could be damaging? Is that,
That's correct.
yeah.
And you have sunscreens and you have sun blockers, and you want to make sure that you have a sun block.
Okay.
So, and there is a difference, and we will be posting additional information on I-34 because we're going to be covering, it's getting to be the onset. We have a lot of clients in Florida and in California. And so we, with the winter season coming and everyone going out to, seek sun, I want to make sure that they get an understanding and have a knowledge. Even I'm very passionate about health and skincare.
Yeah.
And of course, I want people to buy my products, but just again, going back to being fair, I like to educate people. And so we'll be posting another blog that will tell you about skincare or about sun care and which products to look for, what to stay away from, and why.
I don't know if you know this, Rebecca, but we had Dr. David Krause as our guest, and that's actually how I learned about you. And we did say on that podcast, which is was very interesting about aesthetic, non-invasive procedures, but we did mention that he is, I believe he's like the board chair of your company. Is that correct?
Yes, I am actually a PhD, and David is an MD.
Right. Okay.
So, and David is, and Dr. Krause is also an allergy specialist.
Right.
And so I run everything past him. And, even we train physicians on PRP. We have a system that we work with.
Right.
That was formulated by a gentleman that's been a perfusionist for over 35 years.
And I think we should say one time what PRP is: platelet-rich plasma. It's a buzzword that everybody's talking about in the beauty world, but not everybody knows what it is. But we won't get into that today because we're out of time. But it is something to look up on your site. And if people wanted to come, let's say they are in Chicago, and they wanted to come and have a meeting with you, would that be possible? Do you do consultations with the consumer, or is it only at the doctor's office?
We're always willing to take calls. And look, I can't, if I'm going to preach education, I can't ask you to buy my products without making my knowledge known.
Okay, good.
And we do that for physicians and consumers alike. If they call the I-34 number, somebody will call them back if they have a question. And we don't with I-34, we don't diagnose because we're not doctors. We're trained estheticians, or right. I'll say something or we'll run it past Dr. Krause. Mm-hmm. But on our medical side, if you have a question, if you're bringing in a therapy, some type of skincare therapy or whatever, we're more than happy to help.
Rebecca, we are out of time. I am so sorry. I love this. I love talking to you and hearing all your thoughts and ideas and suggestions. I hope everybody has gained insight today. However, they can continue that educational process by accessing your I-34 site, or if they're a physician, the Arbel Medical Beauty site. And yeah. So I just want to say goodbye to you in a very gracious way, and thank you again for taking your time today. We also, just to mention, we also offer training for the physicians, and they can look on the Rebel Beauty site and find out when our next training is. We do injection training, microneedling training, lasers sometimes. Wow. Okay, so, very good. So if there are any physicians listening, and you need to contact either me or Rebecca. Rebecca is, it'll all be on my website, and that's agelessandtimeless.com. All right. Okay, thank Rebecca, you so much for your time. It's so appreciated. Thank you, and you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, I know this is confusing landscape. I know it is for me. I try to be very selective in the products that I buy, that I use, and I go into the stores and I'm like, well, how do I know? I think Rebecca has today helped us tremendously to understand more about what has efficacy and what might just be a waste of our money. So if you have a chance to go on her website, I highly recommend you do that. And I think you can tell right away from the quality of the guests that we have on our podcast that we want people who are deep in the knowledge of their discipline and also come from science, in this case, more than marketing, as Rebecca so kindly described. So thank you very much. We had a beautiful interview with her today, and we'll see you again. This is Michelle Hughes for Ageless and Timeless. 'Cause you're amazing.